Hello and welcome to your Sunday edition of This Is Ibrox. As ever, I couldn't be doing this by myself, and I'm joined by two of our finest in Ian Mitchell and Craig Dennett. We're also delighted to be joined by you, our wonderful listeners and viewers, so feel free to vent in the comments or send any questions in for the guys. And if you can't do that, there's always the Discord. The link is in the description as ever. So let's not hang around because we've got plenty to get through. We'll look ahead to a massive 2 weeks for Russell Martin's Rangers and Russell Martin himself. Quick look back at yesterday's 4-2 win over Alloa and everything else in between. So I had to juggle things around a wee bit because of the news that came out just before we came online. Rangers have completed the loan signing of Jaden Megoma. I think I've got the pronunciation of that name right. He's a left back, 19-year-old, was bought by Brentford for 10 million from Russell Martin's ex-team Southampton in January. Hasn't got much first-team experience. I think he's only made 12 professional experiences. Come to you first here, Craig. Are you happy with the news and the profile of the player that we've signed?
I think it's okay. Like I'm not over the moon about it. I'm not doing cartwheels if I can do a cartwheel. I think it's just with the news that Jefte is about to go out for around £6 million. He's not the level of experience that I was looking for to come in at left back. So my hope then is that this was actually a pre-Jefte transfer news decision, and then what we'll do is we'll go out and sign someone much more experienced. Yeah. Given he's obviously highly thought of going for that level of fee, and Brentford are renowned for the quality of their recruitment side of things. So I don't think I've got any concerns about the fact that he's going to be talented. I think my concern is around he's not someone we can rely on for 60 plus games this year. I've also got concerns around the fact that 3 of our back four, if you say Max Aarons, Jigga and now him, are on loan, which doesn't set us up well going forward or building. It might well be that they've said, right, we'll sort of defence next year, next summer, but I'm not overly convinced by the fact that 3 out of the 4 are on loan at this moment in time, and I would expect and hope that there's another left back with much more experience coming in. That being said, I don't think we need an all singing, all dancing left back. We just need a solid left back that can sit, and we need a Sasa Papac Mark II, effectively, that just sits in there, that does the defensive work, can defend, and can control a football. Basically, we don't need someone bombing up and down the wing all the time, I don't think, going by how Russell Martin's playing this moment in time, trying to isolate the wingers out wide. So we just need an experienced defender that can defend. But yeah, I think this one is underwhelming, maybe a bit harsh, but it's an okay signing, I think, without setting the heather alight.
Yeah. And I had a wee bit of debate with Ian before I came on. Different sources are saying that he's 5'9", and other sources are saying he's 6'2". Now there's a big difference between that. As guys, we know that there is a lot of scrutiny on inches. But Ian, 5'9" would be the same height as Ridvan Yilmaz, whereas 6'2" would be the same height as Tello Asgard. Physical profile being a big thing in Scotland because of the way that the game plays here, and we've seen that Ridvan Yilmaz has struggled with the physicality of it. Can you see this? I'm trying to think the best way to word this. Can you see this being a signing that Russell Martin's looked and said, right, I need someone that's technically good at left back? Jefte looks to be off for £6 million, which I think is unbelievable business, and we can get into that. But do you think this has been purely a signing on his technical ability really suits Russell Martin's system?
Probably as much as it is that it's a player who knows Russell Martin's system. Obviously, Russell Martin gave his debut a few years ago for Southampton, so that side of it makes sense. But just as Craig was touching on, it's not the signing we want. We want a guy who's tried and tested, been there and done it, and he's just not. He's had half a season of football at the low end of the English Championship. It's hardly one to kind of get you off your seat. I think for me, it's like Craig said, it's promising. Brentford don't do a lot wrong in the transfer market. They've spent big money on him. They've obviously saw something. He's capped England under 18s, which is decent pedigree, obviously, as well. Came through at Spurs. There's some things to like in there, but I think it's just the overall state of us just now, especially in that left back area with Jefte moving on. Ridvan continually linked away. We need somebody in there that we can rely on. It's kind of simple as that, because we're getting targeted there, we're having issues there. But a lot of people are writing him off before you even seen him play. But this is the kind of worry for me, is that if he gets flung in against Bruges, that is probably the hardest game he'll have all season. Hopefully not, but could well be. And if he has a poor game there, it's kind of the same idea as Russell Martin. As soon as things look a bit negative for something where there's that preconception that's going to go wrong, just a pylon's there straight away, and his career here is over before it's even began. But I'll let him kick a ball a bit, and then I'll judge him from there. But we definitely need more there regardless.
Yeah, I really like the way that you've said that. I'll let him kick a ball before I judge, because I think we are too quick to judge as a support. Like, you can look at the opposite side of it. When Robin Proper came in last year, we looked at his profile, captain at 20, they got European football, he was experienced, he ticked every box, we got him for a good price on a low wage, turned up to Rangers and he was awful. So it can go the other way as well. You think we're getting a player and sometimes we're not. Well, the majority of the time we're not, with the way Rangers transfers go. But this season's been okay. I've been quite happy with what we've got. The man departing, Craig Jefte, 6 million. We signed him last year for reportedly around about $500,000. For a change, it looks like we're doing good business.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all surprised when we heard the projected fee of 6 million. There's obviously the sell-on fee that we'll have percentage, I think it was 20%, that we'll have to send back to the Fluminense that he came from. So you're still talking the guts of £4 million profit there in the space of a year for someone that we're not overly sold on and not overly impressed by. He's obviously young enough and got the attributes where people think he can be coached fully into being the player that he's kind of been hyped up and projected to be, but I don't think he's getting the chance to do that at Rangers. And if we're making a profit on him, absolutely bite their hand off for it, and let's go find someone new, because Yilmaz isn't it. I don't think Jefte will be it, no matter how long he's here for. So let's go find someone new that can really kick on and play in that position and take the profit.
Yeah, I think, like you said, like a Papac 2.0. Like, I hate saying that we just go out and sign folk that are legends. It doesn't quite work like that, but I get what you mean. I think we need to go and sign a solid fullback, one that can defend, because for all that Jefte was probably one of the best going forward that I've seen in a long time at fullback for us, and we've had some good fullbacks. Defensively, he was extremely suspect, especially crosses into the back post where he just couldn't defend for his life and switched off quite often. And we wish him well and see him on his way. But I seen that we were linked with, was it Moreno of Aston Villa on loan at Nottingham Forest last year? Somebody like that who's got a decent pedigree, had a decent career, good experience, would be good. I just don't know if we should be going paying a fee for him. Thinking the region of a 24, 25-year-old that's had a decent enough career, and we can put out a bit of money, because 6 million coming in for Jefte there's got to be a chunk of change to spend there. So I don't think for a second that Magoma is going to be the starting left back and he's the one that's going to take us throughout the season. I think this is a case of, right, Yilmaz is away. Again, there's reports today saying that Besiktas are in advanced talks and it's a case of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But again, I've seen somebody else tweet and said that's 50 times he's signed with Besiktas since he signed for us. So that's one to watch out for. But Yilmaz hasn't got a part to play at all. The European squad was announced and he's still a Rangers player and he wasn't put in there, even though we've not got a left back whatsoever. So it is probably that we're going to sign another in there. I'd expect us to sign one in there.
I think that's why we're all so annoyed, isn't it? Because if Makoma came in like 2 weeks' time and right now we'd signed the first choice left back, I think people look at Makoma and think, yeah, that makes sense. Decent profile. Yeah. He will be fine when needed, kind of thing. But it's just, as you look at it right now, with such a big game on Tuesday, Mirren away the weekend after, the Old Firm after, like there's a lot of big games coming very thick and fast here. And Makoma's going to have to feature quite heavily, you'd imagine, in those games. Otherwise, it's Aaron's at left back. So it's a bit of a lose-lose, really, for how it's looking right now.
Yeah, and Aaron's hasn't worked at left back either. He's not comfortable in that way. The way he's so right-footed that he can't go and help the wide guy that's ahead of him. He can't make the runs that Russell Martin wants fullbacks to make to try and drag people out of position. He's so much more comfortable on that right hand side that it's night and day. And I think it's unfair on Max Aarons as a defender for that, but it also disadvantages the team. So I'd hate to think that he's our left back come Tuesday night.
Yeah, I would be stunned if he started on Tuesday night. I think you're likely to see Aaron's in at left back, Tav at right back. I seen yesterday actually that it looked like they switched when Tav came on, and Aaron sort of stayed at right back, Tav at left back, and then it switched back to Aaron's at left back and Tav at right back. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does on Tuesday, but I'd expect to see Aaron's at left back there. We'll move on, right? Another rumour that's been doing the rounds today, from what we've heard, that it's a lot of rubbish, that Nico Raskin has handed in a transfer request. Now, I think this is one of the ones that have sort of bounced around X and all day, and yeah, once people start talking, these things gather pace. As far as we know, it's not true. But Craig, Nico Raskin, his future at Rangers, 2 years left in his contract. I think by now we would have expected him to be away. He's not. There's not been a solid bid for him as far as we know. Where do you stand in the whole Nico Raskin thing, especially with what Russell Martin sees as Nico Raskin in his system, and that's not at the number 6 position, and we're in a World Cup year in Nico Raskin's case? Where do you stand in it all?
I mean, Ian and I had a bit of a chat at the game yesterday about Nico Raskin and Joe Rothwell and how they fit, and I think they're both number 6s, but they're number 6s in different types of games, and I think we need to get used to that, because we are going to be playing 60 games this season, and it's you're not going to have one player that's going to be playing that position the whole season. So we need to be getting used to, I guess, of players swapping in and out and not seeing a dip in quality from that. I don't think Nico Raskin will be that happy with that if he's only playing 30, 35 games or so this season rather than 50 or 60. But I think there's going to be a lot of people in the squad that need to get used to that reduced game time, and I think it'll very much be horses for courses when it comes to that selection. And I know Joe Rothwell is, some people love him already, some people are still unsure. I thought yesterday against Alloa, I thought he thought he was much more progressive in his passing. He varied it up a lot more, and he was much closer to what I expected him to be like when he first arrived. So I think he's got the talent and the ability and experience to be in there and do a job for us. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I don't think Nico Raskin will be playing 60 games for us this year. I don't think, obviously we don't have any belief in the fact that he would have handed in a transfer request, but he'll be interested, and I think he'll be interested to hear what other clubs are out there and what his opportunities are. And it'll be, I think, Igaman and Raskin are the two that you're looking at going, are you going to be here once this window closes in, what is it, 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks? So it's not far away to the window shuts. There's not been any last minute bid. There's not been any bids or anything like that, which means that there doesn't seem to be much of an appetite for us to hold people to ransom, I guess, for it. And it might be that we just stick to a figure, a fee that we want, and that's that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, on the Igaman and Raskin stuff, Craig, we did expect one of them to go, right? I'm going to play devil's advocate here a wee bit. If one of them would go, which one? I
think you let Raskin go at this stage.
Yeah.
But I think we need another striker alongside the Igaman, and it might well be that actually the solution to that is Cyril Dessers going. But I think we desperately need another striker to play. That was probably a slightly different profile to Igaman, but can score goals and can score goals consistently, because we can't rely on Igaman solely for that. And there's every chance that you get a bid in the last week of the window that you can't turn down because it's so good. So we 100% need another striker in there.
Yeah, Ian, sticking with the Raskin stuff, I don't know where you stand with Rothwell or Raskin in the middle of the park at number 6. If I'm correct, last season Rothwell operated in the 8 for Leeds. I don't think he played 6, as far as I know. Would you like to see Rothwell further forward and Raskin in the 6, or are you happy the way things have sort of been played out and it's just about guys getting used to the system?
It's a weird one. I think for a Russell Martin team, his number 8s are basically like attacking midfielders in a way. I don't think that suits Rothwell or Raskin at all. The way it's been going so far, like I like Rothwell. I like what he does with the ball. I think he's very good with his passing. Yesterday's probably one of his better games, but he's obviously against much weaker opposition than normal. I get that. But we just seem so open with him in that role. Obviously, he's not quite got the engine, the tackling, the gritty side of the game that Raskin excels on. So I think that's where Raskin should be our 6. But as Craig touched on, it's certain games will suit Rothwell, certain games will suit Raskin. But for me, you look at this squad, there's not a lot of value kicking about. Obviously, Igaman could get you a good amount. Raskin would. Beyond that, there's very little. So if we're wanting to make changes, an extra left back we've talked about, an extra centre back, another striker, Raskin's kind of the obvious one you would look to sell, and he's probably my favourite Rangers player. I would hate to see him go. He's a guy you kind of always see doing that dirty side of the game, getting the ball back for you, moving it on. The last 6 months of last season, he was man of the match pretty much every game that he played in, which was just building to that Belgium call-up, and suddenly his value is rocketing. So it's one of those ones you want to strike while the iron's hot with Raskin, because if we are playing him here and there, if he is coming off the bench, that 15, 20 million pound player is suddenly a 5 to 10 million pound player, and you've got 18 months left of a contract, all these kind of things. So my stance has always been here: either Raskin signs a new contract and you build the team around him, he's your main man, or else you sell him right now. And yes, I'd hate to see him go, but if that gets you the money to fill in 2 or 3 other problem positions, then it's probably what I'd be doing, because it's quite simple. It doesn't seem like Russell Martin fancies him that much. And he had his press conference before the game there. It was before the Pilsen second leg, and he was talking up Raskin and saying he's this, he's that, he's got a great attitude and all that. He's going to say that, obviously he is, but I just don't buy it quite yet from Russell Martin with Raskin. There's definitely a little bit of friction there, and it's the last thing that we need is players going against the manager or vice versa at this point. So I would hate to see him go, but I'd kind of same as Craig. I think if the bid does come in, if someone's there with the money, you probably take it, sadly.
Yeah, I think it's easy to forget that when Clement first came in, Raskin dipped big time as well. He dipped, he got injured, couldn't quite get back in the team for Lundstrom, was randomly brought back in for the Scottish Cup final against Celtic, and then it wasn't until the next season where it took him a few games again to get back in the team. We're talking about last season, and then he got going. So I don't know, we're witnessing history repeating itself, where he might just take a wee while to get going under Russell Martin. I'm not sure, but I agree. I don't think the role he's been played in right now suits whatsoever.
There's probably a world where they both work side by side. See if you have both of them and then someone like an Ascard or Diamande beyond them. That to me makes a bit of sense, but
yeah,
it kind of goes back to Russell Martin's not going to change. He's famously not going to change his style. He's going to have a number 6, 2 guys in front. It's how he sees football. It's what he thinks will work. And I don't see a world where you put the 2 of them side by side, as much as that does tick quite a lot of boxes that I would look for in a midfield. I just don't think Rothwell and Raskin can or will be seen together much.
Yeah, it remains to be seen, and yeah, plenty of games ahead, and we'll see what happens. Craig, you touched on Cyril Dessers when we spoke about Igaman just there. Reportedly, EAK are still keen on Dessers, which I'm absolutely delighted to hear. I know he splits opinion. I'm going to butcher this name, but Greek journalist Giannis Chouranopoulos has put up an article saying AEK Athens are still in for Cyril Dessers. Full story here, and they've posted an article on it, which probably after his injury the other night you would have guaranteed would never have happened, but it looks like he might be fit for Tuesday night. Where do you stand on this? Selling Dessers, would you say that we would need 2 strikers coming in, or is it just sell Dessers, get a replacement?
I think in an ideal world you would get 2 strikers, but it seems that we're not going to carry more than 3 in the squad. Going by what's happening, you're in saying, right, Igaman, but we need to upgrade on Cyril Dessers. As much as I there you go, well pronounced journalists. I think we need an upgrade on Cyril Dessers for all that I don't mind him. He just isn't there for the big moments, I think, is what's frustrating. But upgrade on him with a decent fee for a striker from that perspective, and we can see how it goes. But I'd actually quite happily, even if Dessers stayed, if we were left with Danilo, Dessers, Zigaman, I'd still want to see us buy another striker, to be honest, because it feels like we're short in that area. I don't think Danilo is up to it at all. I don't think Dessers is up to it at all. They kind of swap with whoever starts has a bad game, and then whoever comes on has an all right 20 minutes, and then they're in for the next game, and they kind of swap around like that. I've had enough of watching that already, to be honest. We're only 5-6 games into the season, so I think it's very much of a case of we need a striker no matter what. Hopefully two, but if we can get sort of around 5-6 million euros for Dessers, then again, similar to Jefte, bite the hand off.
Yeah, it seems that AEK just aren't going away. And Ian, where do you stand on it? Should the striker position be a priority? I felt like there was a complete uptick as soon as Zigaman came on yesterday, and I know we'll get to the Alloa stuff, and you guys covered it very well yesterday. Do you think this is a priority position, even without sales?
Yeah, I think it's the priority because, your defence can be shaky. You're going to concede a goal or two, but if you've got a guy doing the business up the other end who's getting 2 or 3 goals, those little defensive mix-up, the errors, the mishaps, they're not quite as big a deal in most games that we're going to play. The game against Dundee, that's just classic Dessers for me. He's a world beater the Tuesday before against Pilsen. I'm watching that game at Ibrox thinking, this is what we need. This is the Dessers I want to see. Just keep this going. And 4 days later, I want to strangle him. I can't. We've said it in our chats many times. We can't keep having the same chat about Dessers. We know what he can do, what he can't do, what he doesn't do. But for me, it's just fact. If you are going into a season relying on Cyril Dessers, you're not going to win trophies. And there's other people at fault. There's a whole squad of guys that you can go through, but that's your main guy up front. Get a chance, score it. That's all I really want to see. And there's no striker in world football that scores every chance, but the amount he misses, just even with the kind of the link-up play and the touch and the control he's often not got, just score your chances, and he's not going to do it for me. I think when he came back, or not came back, but when it was mentioned at the press conference last week that it's not a long-term injury, he could be back for this week, I wasn't delighted that he was back. I was happy that we might see him sold, and that was just that natural feeling. It's maybe a little bit harsh, but if you can get 3 or 4 million at this point for him, I'd be taking it all day. And as Craig said, trying to bring in that guy who can be your main man, who you can rely on. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there'll be comments about Danilo as well. I would happily move Danilo on before I move Dessers on, but there's no going to be a market. Like who's going to want Danilo the way he's been playing, the injury record and stuff. So it's one of those ones that I don't want to have 3 or 4 strikers on the books just to have numbers there. I'd be paying guys to sit in the stands, but it's not going to work in this current setup with these 3 guys for me. And if you can move Dessers on to bring in a trusted, scores his chances kind of guy, I'd be all over it, to be honest. Tudgeman is the obvious one that we've seen in the link to all summer. The profile makes sense. He's a looks great on YouTube, as everyone does, but it ticks all the boxes I'd want to see. But I feel like we've slept on that one a little too much, and he's probably going to move on elsewhere at this point.
From the reports I've seen today, he's in advanced talks with New England Revolution.
Yeah.
So that looks like it probably will go through. But you don't know. This could be agents trying to sound out clubs to try and get on the move. And we know we've seen this movie before. On the Dessers stuff, I think I said it in the chat, it almost feels like I'm living in some sort of Truman show and he's a social experiment to see how far I can be pushed. But see the difference I said about Zigaman, and we've seen an uptick in how the team played yesterday, all the usual caveats and stuff with yesterday's game, but I think with Danilo, he can't play up front himself. He's a support striker. We've seen that with the nice through ball to the Dessers goal that was then offside against Dundee, that he can do that role and he's better with someone up front with him. In fact, he's actually a very good player with someone up front with him. Dessers is very static, pins himself on the centre, the middle centre back when the opposition's playing a back 3-5, whatever you want to call it. And it's all very static. Zigaman came on yesterday and he was dropping in, he was hustle and bustle, he was dragging defenders all over the place. And I think for us to sort of be successful and create more in that front line, because let's be honest, we've created jack shit under Ross Martin in the forward three. Any of our goals has come from breaking up the park when teams are unsettled, which we don't do enough of, by the way. We let teams get back into position and get into their shape and settle and make it hard for us to break them down again. But in terms of what we need in a striker, that Iggerman role where he's a bit clever and people don't want are too hesitant to go with him or should they stay, that's what the difference is. We need another one like that. We don't need another static striker that pins himself to the centre-back. So, yeah, there's twists and turns to come there. I will be shocked and I'll probably be pretty angry if we don't sign another striker. But I know we spoke of striker, we spoke of left back. The other position where I think we definitely need one, Ian, is centre back. Nobel Mendy was the name that was going about the all of last week. It seems that deal's broke down. Not too much information on it. When the deal broke down with PSV, it was said it was a work permit issue. With us, I think it's along the lines of it's just broke down, but I think it's courtesy nowadays in football that if a player fails a medical, it's not really made public given his age and his profile and the fact that he wants to leave Betis. Are you disappointed that this one fell through?
Disappointed is probably not the right word, because I think he has potential. You know, he's a big unit of a guy, a very solid defender. He looks that way, but it kind of goes back to the Meg Homa chat. He's not tried and tested. He's had a handful, literally 2 or so games with Real Betis' first team, and yeah, looked okay in those games, but I don't understand how we've been quite heavily targeting Connor Cody, and then the second centre-back name is a guy of the opposite profile, like experience-wise. And for me, it's now curious to see, well, we obviously have a gap there. We need a centre-back. Are we going to go the experience route or the potential route? Because for me, it can't be another loan. Like we've talked about this year, we've got 3 of our back 4 on loan already. You need to have some kind of long-term plan with this, and I'm all for, like, if we can get a loan for a guy who's a top, classic player, yeah, go for it. But you need a 3 or 4 year plan for certain guys, and for me, centre-back is so important, especially in a Russell Martin team, but especially how much of the ball we have. You have to be progressing attacks. You have to be a certain level of ability at the back. And, we're all talking about John Souttar and how sort of fearful we all are when he has the ball at times. But at this point, he's quite comfortably going to be in that role until we bring in someone better. So I'd be quite keen on your kind of multi-million-pound signing here, because, the Jefte money, it's got to be seen as a bit of a bonus for me, because I didn't expect to get that kind of fee for him. Didn't expect to sell Jefte this summer, to be honest, but that should be money that we're going, okay, well, there's a nice big chunk of change that's came sort of from nowhere. Get a left back, get a centre back, comfortably spending 3 or 4 million, and you can bring in some quality there. Because, like I say, Mendy, I don't think would have been the finished article by a long shot, but we've still just got so many guys in that position. Davies, Inciala, Leon King, who we all know aren't going to cut it and aren't going to be featuring for us. So my fear is that we're kind of waiting for a couple of them to move on before we strike. But we've got too many big games to be going for that approach. For me at this point, it's going to be a tricky few weeks at best here. So I'd want a centre-back rumour to kick off tomorrow and see him signed a few days later. But profile-wise, I have no idea what I'm expecting at this point.
Yeah, it's been one of the ones. It's almost like we're crying out for. Fernandes yesterday, tin hat on, I think done okay. I actually think he done all right. I see him getting a wee bit in the comments here about Fernandes, but he's not young. He's not too young, but he's not old either. In terms of centre-back and centre-back money, he's young. You do tend to find that centre-backs mature and come into their prime a wee bit older than, say, a central midfielder. I thought he done okay yesterday without setting the header alight. Really good header, his goal. So again, it's one of these ones that we're probably not going to be able to judge Fernandes until, say, the turn of the year, where he's played double-figured games. He's maybe played 20, 25 games by that time, and we've got a real picture of what he could do and if there is any improvement. I dare say that season that Calvin Bassey exploded, the first half of that season, he was awful. I always recall the game away, I think it was Sparta Prague. He played centre-back with Leon Balogun, and the two of them looked like they hadn't seen a ball before. And then good bit of development, a wee bit of time spent under Gio, and he came to life. And by all means, I'm not comparing Fernandes to Bassey, but this guy's certainly been bought in as a developmental centre-back, and he'll get his chances. Like, I don't doubt for 1 second that John Souttar's going to play 60 games this season. We know he's had his injury issues, and there is only a year left in the deal there, so you can't be signing someone like Fernandes and not giving an opportunity with the thought that John Souttar might not be here next year. Anyway, we're at the halfway point. We're at half-time. Before we get on to what the next 2 weeks holds and a wee quick look back at yesterday, it just gives me a chance to say to everybody, we're over 300 viewers live at the moment. Plenty of comments flooding in. No doubt there'll be a lot of people listening tomorrow morning and tomorrow of the pod. Please make sure you're subscribing. I ask that kindly. Anybody that's watching just now that hasn't subscribed, please make sure you do. We're here every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 7:30. And after most of the games, we'll do a post-match. Sometimes we need to juggle the schedule a wee bit with that. So I ask kindly, please hit that subscribe button, or please hit that follow button on whichever podcast app you use. Craig, you guys had the pleasure of being on the gantry yesterday for the Alloa game. 4-2 win. We'll keep this short just to get your thoughts on it. We are so back. Am I right?
I wouldn't quite go that far, but I don't think it was as disastrous as people were saying. I think obviously
I agree. Yeah,
defensively we were struggled for the 2 goals. Outside of that, I thought we were fine. We just seem to have that mistake in us at the back, and I don't know how we get around that or get rid of that. It just seems to be no matter who's playing in defence, it's there. Obviously, big question marks over Bailey Rice at left back, but also just his attitude overall. I think.
See on that, Craig, while we're there on the Rice stuff.
Yeah.
Rice and Curtis. I was disappointed to see the time that Curtis got on yesterday, got his goal. Right. Are we handling these boys incorrectly? Sorry to jump ahead here.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Right? Russell Martin clearly does not like Oscar Cortez, right? Ian and I spoke about it in the post-match yesterday. He just clearly does not like. I think it must be the end product, because Oscar Cortez will have a go at his man, but he just has no end product whatsoever. And I think first you could see Russell Martin's frustration on the sidelines constantly yesterday. So then you're asking, well, why is Finlay Curtis not playing in that moment? Is it purely down to the fact that we've just spent £4 million on Oscar Cortez and you got to feel like you got to give him a chance somehow? But Oscar Cortez has also just been removed from the European squad for the playoff round, so that's another side of it. Finally, Curtis, I thought he almost, when he scored that goal, he was almost like they sticking 2 fingers up at them basically for not playing him earlier. I almost felt like that's what he was, because he just did exactly what Oscar Cortez would not do, and that was as soon as the ball came to him on his right foot, he just shot across the goalkeeper, and it was a great finish. And he was just showing again what he can do. I mean, Finlay Curtis has made a really big impact on the team so far, both in pre-season, and we've obviously seen the goal against Panathinaikos there as well. I think he still needs to develop quite a bit, whether that's at Rangers or whether that's, don't know, out at a club, maybe like a Motherwell or someone like that. But he should 100% be a Scottish Premiership loan if he's going to go on loan. But meanwhile, Bailey Rice, he must be looking at Lennon Miller and going, what I could have had, what I could have done. But then there's a lot of questions around his attitude. He's obviously a really talented boy. He's really talented at what he can do, and he was supposedly ahead of Lennon Miller when they were both in the Motherwell Academy together. But I think it's just I don't see Bailey Rice making it at Rangers, to be honest. Going by what I've seen so far, would be happy for him to go on loan and to see if he can get that extended game time to prove us all wrong. But I don't necessarily see Bailey Rice making it at Rangers, which is a shame because he's really, really highly rated. But yesterday's goal, he was really lazy. I think someone said that in the comments as well. He was really lazy. He was so many times after that. Even I noticed how he was just 2 or 3 yards behind where he should be at all times. Now that might be he's not comfortable at left back. We know he's a central midfielder. If that's the case, then maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But surely effort and application are the two minimum expectations that you should have, no matter what position you're playing in. So I Bailey Rice, he's moving into the Leon King territory for me, in terms of whether he's going to make it at Rangers or not. Finally, Curtis, I've really positive about, got a lot of hope, and I think he was quite harshly treated yesterday and probably should have started ahead of Oscar Cortez.
Yeah, and Iain, on yesterday's game, was there anything you've seen in that game that you think, right, we're starting to improve on that under Russell Martin that you've not seen in the previous games?
No.
I thought they were better. Sorry to interrupt. I thought the passing in the final third was better. I thought it was more varied. I thought we were trying different things. We were trying that ball in between centre back and full back a lot more, which is what I think Russell Martin wants us to play. We were mixing it up with little diagonal chip balls over the top to try and find the on running player or winger. I thought Barami's running was really good, quite similar to what Will Cameron does. To be fair, I thought Barami had a really positive game yesterday, actually, and if he does that more often, then he may well have a future at Rangers. But I did think the pass in the final third was the one real positive for me. Sorry, Iain.
No, you're right. And
Iain gets a turn there.
It's one of these. I thought Mikey Moore was pretty good in terms of the first part of the game. He was energetic. He was exciting to watch. He got you kind of paying attention, thinking, okay, you've got something here. And like you say, Barami and him clicked pretty well instantly. And that's two guys that have never been on a pitch together. So that's promising. But I think yesterday for me, it's one of those ones where if we'd won our first two league games and you go and beat Alloa 4-2, no one cares about it. No one's going to remember this game at the end of the season. It's just the kind of negative status that we're all in just now. It's just the kind of, that should have been a 5-6-0 win. Send everyone home happy. No queries on that. Everyone's just, that was a good win. Let's take it into Tuesday. But being 3-2 up with a couple of minutes to go against Alloa, I think Craig put it quite well in the post-match yesterday. No one was that shocked. No one was raging. Like, fan base-wise, we're all just like, yeah, here we go again. This is what we do. That shouldn't be happening. He's spot on. It's just a kind of thing that we've built into ourselves now that we're going to give goals away. And it doesn't matter if you're Bruges, Alloa, Celtic, Motherwell. We just don't keep clean sheets. And you're not going to win a lot of games like that when your attack is quite lacking. And we were okay going forward yesterday. I still wanted more. I wanted a bit more bravery because just a bit too safe for me. People are scared to do things wrong and to give it away. And I don't know if that comes from the manager. He's so hell-bent on retaining the ball and making sure you're making a safe pass and keeping the ball. I didn't think his style would be like that, but we're a month or 6 weeks in to Russell Martin, and that's kind of the overriding thing I'm getting from the players and from watching it. It's everyone's a bit scared to do something risky that might lose the ball. And up against your back fives that we're going to face, that's not going to work. So I don't know if that's a player issue, a style issue, but that's the big thing for me that needs ironed out.
Yeah, I'm going to put my tin hat on here. I'm going to put my armoured suit on here, and I'm going to say that I actually thought Kieran Dowell had a good game yesterday.
I genuinely think that when he's been in that central midfield role, he's done okay. He's doing okay, but is okay enough? It's okay. The level, or are we just lowering our expectations because he's been that bad?
If you're comparing him to Diomande in that space for the last month, he's done more than him. And yes, it's maybe a 5 out of 10 instead of a 3 out of 10. But I don't think if Diomande get taken out of the team, whether it's for Dowell or Asgard or Raskin, whoever, I don't think you could have any complaints. And it's for constant frustration for me for what I think Diomande could and should be for this team. He's just not. And when you see someone like Dowell, yes, he's certainly got his flaws. He's not perfect. He'll overhit many passes, but he's at least trying something that might unlock a chance. And you need to be a bit. It's a rough period of time for Kieran Dowell. Obviously, get booed onto the pitch, 7-10 days ago, whatever that was. That's really painful for any footballer. But I
don't think it was him who's being booed on the pitch. I think it was the decision of who was going off for him was the case. For the vast majority of people, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I took that more about the decision that was being made about who was going off, and the fact slightly that Kieran Doyle was coming on, but more the change that was being made than anything else.
Yeah, by all means, I'm not saying he should be a starter, he should be the first name in the team sheet. But I do think he done a good job yesterday. He played positive, and you spoke, and Craig as well, you spoke about guys taking a few more risks and trying to get the ball in behind. A few times he's tried that pass into the feet of the striker and it's come off, and we've not really had anybody do that from the centre of the park under Russell Martin, because it has all been very risk averse and guys playing within themselves, and it just turns out that the guy that's been booed and he's had the most critics off everyone is the guy taking the most risks for us. It's the most Rangers thing ever. And yeah, I tried to watch, when I watched the game back this morning, I tried to watch it with an open mind and sort of give each player, I hate to use the phrase clean slate because people don't like to hear it, but in that sense, I thought Cortes tried his arse off. Things maybe didn't come off for him, but he's another one that needs a wee bit of confidence. And yeah, there was 10 changes yesterday. Most of these guys will be on the fringe of the team. And I think for a lot of the guys, the ship sailed because they've had far too many chances. But I'm just going to bring this comment up, which brings us nicely to our next bit. Come to you here, Ian. From DJRFC in the comments, I think Brugge away, Old Firm game week, will make or break Martin's tenure with us even at such an early stage in his time with us. I've just read that as if I've never read before. Ian, next 2 weeks, we are at home to Bruges on Tuesday. We are away to St Mirren midweek. The one that was off, it was on, it was off, it was on, and here we are, it's on. We are then away to Bruges, and then we're at home to Celtic. It almost feels like these 2 weeks are sort of mental to say it, defining for Russell Martin. Yep. Where are you in all that conversation?
I think it's spot on, yeah, because everyone is a bit negative. We've touched on it already. We're all kind of a bit frustrated with what we're seeing on the pitch. But if you win those 2 league games and get through in the Champions League, everyone is back on side, like complete 180. Everyone is back involved and loving Russell Martin. Like, that's how fickle we are. It can take 3 or 4 games and you're through. I mean, it's, for me, it goes in 2 parts. I think because of how the league is gone, we have to win those 2 league games. Like, you have to win them. You need to beat Celtic at home. You need to go to challenging places like Paisley and win, just to claw yourself back in that title race. I think if you take 4 points out of that, it's not a disaster, but you need kind of statement wins. For me, the Champions League side of it, I think we've overshot where we should have got to already, to be honest. I think, yes, Pilsen were kind of terrible, but I didn't see us getting to this stage. Likewise, I think if we did fall into Europa League, it's not ideal, but it's certainly what seems to be our level just now. And, you know, I've seen people say they want Europa League because we'll just get battered. That's madness for me. Like, the way the Champions League is just now, you want and need to be in there to be taking that money.
I think we get battered in the Europa League as well.
That's quite possible. Yeah, exactly. But I think for what Russell Martin's done so far, we've hardly been excited by it. We're all, I said at the start there, a bit down in the dumps, but that's 4 games can completely change the vibe that we're all feeling. And if we all back Russell Martin after those 4 games, we would. And, you know, that's big pot of cash you're getting. That's extra signings you're getting. It opens so many more doors that we probably didn't think we would open this summer. So that's what I tried to say to Craig yesterday. I thought yesterday would be that kind of 5-6-0 win. We'll get a bit of feel good. You take that momentum in this game on Tuesday night, but the kind of fragile status we're all in, if we go 1-0 down on Tuesday night, you can see, you know, we all know how Ibrox is going to feel. It's going to be tense. It's going to be very negative. And, you know, for me, we need to win on Tuesday night for the tie itself, but for Russell Martin, just to kind of get the feel good going again, because we don't want to be coming on podcasts and tweeting all day about, you know, this and negative and feeling down. We want to be positive and winning, and we want to back Russell Martin. It's just, there's very loud voices just now that are telling you, I didn't want Russell Martin, and this is why, kind of thing. They're getting, I've told you so, which if these next 4 games go badly, they kind of people will be right, sadly. So, yeah.
I think the more interesting question really is, where is the line? Where is the acceptable, unacceptable line? Because you say, right, Champions League qualification, you get a win against St Mirren, a draw against Celtic. Say we're all pretty happy by that point. If you qualify for Champions League, but you get a draw against St Mirren and a defeat against Celtic. That's on probably the unacceptable side of it. So it's where is the line, I think, is the interesting part of the discussion, because I mean, I have no idea what to expect from this Rangers team over the next. We could lose all 4 games and it wouldn't surprise me. We could win all 4 games. That probably would surprise me. But I don't know. Every
Do you know
game
what's insane on that? Just to jump in, the game that will surprise me most winning is St Mirren away. That's not even joking. That is actual fact. I don't see us going to Paisley and winning, but I see us winning Old Firm game. I see us putting Bruges out. That's insane. That shouldn't be happening, but I'm sure there's people in the comments that are thinking the exact same.
I think the line that you talk about, Craig, as a Rangers fan, I don't know, I'm maybe one of the more patient fans and I try and be balanced about things, but the line is always the Old Firm game. And I think that's where most Rangers fans will see it. Rangers should not lose to Celtic at Ibrox in the eyes of most Rangers fans. And they'll see that as it's going to be extremely toxic if we lose that game. Bearing in mind, we'll already know our fate in Europe.
If you lose to St Mirren the week before, then what good does it do? Really? In the grand scheme of things, if you lose to St Mirren,
it's going to make it a lot worse.
But if you lose to St Mirren and then beat Celtic, then you're kind of still you're no further forward than if you beat St Mirren and lost to Celtic.
The frustration we had all season last year, isn't it? Like we beat Celtic, got 2 out of 4, got a draw the other one, but couldn't beat Ross County, Dundee, Motherwell, blah 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 blah. Like this team turn up when they want. I thought this season would be the kind of change of that. We would batter the lesser teams and maybe struggle in Europe, but what does it say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. It's the squad.
St Mirren have had a good start to the season as well. So
But the way the roller coaster works at Rangers, we could get beat off St Mirren, go and qualify for the Champions League midweek, and then get beat off Celtic. We're so up and down, it's unbelievable.
Is that acceptable? Champions League qualification, but losing both league games?
No, because I think the main goal has got to be domestic success, and I think that's always the bread and butter at Rangers, that if you're not winning trophies domestically, because let's be honest, right, we came close to winning the Europa League, but us, it's like taking shots in the dark. Us hitting a bullseye again, it's probably pretty slim in Europe. We're probably not going to find much success there whatsoever. So we have got to be more successful domestically. Again, if we win the league this year, which looks a wee bit too far down the line, I know it's only August, we're only a few games into it, yada yada, all that. We're officially automatically qualified into the Champions League next year. That's a huge bonus right away, but we've got to get our house in order, and I think under Russell Martin, people just can't quite see that at the moment. And we'll break it down with Tuesday's game first, Craig. How are you feeling? Where's your confidence sitting going into this game on Tuesday night?
I think Bruges will be too good for us, to be honest. I think we shoot ourselves in the foot too often, and they're at the level that they'll take advantage of that. I think the teams that we've played so far we've given them loads of chances, but they've not been good enough up front or in the forward line to be able to take those chances. Because I think Victoria Pilsen last week, or was it earlier this week? I've lost track of times.
The season been that long already, man.
Whenever we played Victoria Pilsen away, they probably could have beat us 5-6-1, and we couldn't have argued much with it, to be honest. And the worry is that a team of Club Brugge's quality might well take those chances. We obviously played them already in a pre-season friendly, but that was a month and a half ago now or so, and both squads will be very different. They'll be more up to speed. I just think Club Brugge and it sounds stupid, but in a previous season, I would have backed us against Club Brugge. Because I would know how we're going to play in Europe. I would fully expect us to win the home leg and then be able to manage the away leg in a way that we would have gone through. That's belief in the European Rangers as such is gone now, and I've not convinced at all that we will get through. But if we're going to have any chance of getting through, we need to win on Tuesday night.
Yeah, on that, Ian, do you agree there that if we are to get through, we're going to need a positive result on Tuesday night? And how do you see it going?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think we need a good win, let alone a win. Like 2 or 3 goals would still have a bit of nerves for me going over to Belgium. I don't see us winning 4 or 5, obviously, so not overly confident. But the team who are going to start mainly have all had a week off. You know, you're thinking of Ant-Man, Gassama, Raskin, Diomande, your guys that like nailed on starters in your midfield and attack. They should all be very fresh, ready to go, well clued up of what we're going to be doing. So it's not clicked so far. I think the Pilsen home game was a bit of an anomaly, how good we were. And it's quite well spoke about how bad Pilsen were, but we still passed them off the park. We're still very strong on the night. If we can play like that, if it all clicks, you know, we all know what Rangers do midweek in Europe. It's just what we do. It's what we're built for. Just as Craig said, if we give away those daft chances, we would absolutely need Butland to be in his best form. And he has been most of the season. To be honest, he's saved us on a lot of occasions. So that's what I'm saying. If Butland's doing well, if the defence don't pass the ball to their attackers, and you've got your midfield and attack who be good options regardless. And I know Russell Martin said yesterday he doesn't expect Igaman to start, but if you've got a bench that's got Igaman, Asgard, Mikey Moore, these guys coming on, that is strength and depth that we've really not had often this season. And
I think the worry is though that it's felt in a few games now that we've been playing for the first 60 minutes to try and get out of the way so that we can bring on players that can make a bit of a difference. And I don't want to see that again on Tuesday night.
No, we need to be at it from the very start. But as negative as fans are, as negative we've maybe been here, if you see that from the players from the off, Ibrox will rise to it. And, you know, I can't stress it enough. Rangers turn up in European games midweek. It's just strange squad we've got in our hands. But I do think we'll do all right at home. It's just going away. It's that same kind of problem that if we play the Russell Martin style, which we're obviously going to, if we play that away from home, you know, we could get a cricket score on the go over there. So we need a good, strong win and performance Tuesday.
Yeah, I know that Russell Martin's saying that it's unlikely that Igaman starts. Do you think that's wild? Right, we've got a real chance at Champions League qualification here. We've got that wild card up front, Igaman. Danilo's not worked. Dessers probably won't be fit enough. I don't think for a second he'll be fit enough to start. Surely he's got to roll the dice there, Ian. And on the back of that as well, like, how would you set up that? Would you start Asgard? Have you seen enough there? Like, who would start out wide? Has Mikey Moore done enough for you? How would you put the team out?
It's a very tricky one. I'm kind of like you. You're thinking that I would play Igaman and just give us what you've got kind of thing. If you're gassed at half time, we can take it from there kind of thing. But Danilo up front on his own and that kind of defence and that kind of environment, it's not going to work. He's not going to create chances. He's not going to feature very much in the game. I would be playing Igaman for as much as I can get out of him kind of thing. It's not even as if, like, obviously the end of the Europa run, we had an Aribo who could kind of go as like a false 9 type. I don't see anyone with that profile in the squad either that could maybe do a job kind of thing until Igaman came in. So I'd be starting Igaman. I'd have Ant-Man and Gassama on the wings and then Mikey Moore as that kind of later option to try and bring a bit of pace on. But the midfield's the big one for me. Like, I know we spoke about it right at the start there. Raskin has got to play, and for me, he's got to be the 6. I expect Diomande to come in. Yes, he's been really poor, but you just hope that he finally shows up for Russell Martin so far. And then it's probably Lyle Cameron who's maybe the one that's surprising folk so far. I mean, just a lot of people have said he will surprise us, and he's done pretty well. He was good in Pilsen as well, so that'd be my 3 in the middle there. And like I stressed, then you've got a Rothwell to come on, you've got Asgard to come on. It's good options. It's that way that you can say to the guys, like, look, give us an hour, run your arse off kind of thing, properly get into this, put us in as good a position as possible. And when you're tired, we've got a decent replacement coming on, and you just hope and pray the defence is sure enough that it keeps the goals out. And I know we'll come on to it, but Aaron's at left back is going to give me the fear. Homa at left back would give me the fear. So there's no perfect scenario there unless we're going to sign someone in the next 24 hours, which I highly doubt at this point. So
I think it was interesting though the way Russell Martin said in his post-match press conference there will be signings before Tuesday. He didn't say a signing, he just said signings. So that's given me hope that
in fact we've announced hang on every letter, Craig.
100%, yeah. That's given me hope that maybe we might see a wee bit of surprise tomorrow, but we've not heard any rumours of anyone, I guess. So that's that's maybe a bit far-fetched. But
sticking with the back four stuff, Craig, how would you set up there Tuesday night? Because that's been a big bugbear of most people.
I think Max Aarons is going to start at left back. I don't see any other way that we can do that. I think Jefte probably would have started had he not been the subject of the bids or the movement that there has been over the last couple of days. So I think Max Aarons will start there. We tab at right back, and then you'll have Jigga and Suter there, which we've seen the issues that's had beforehand. I don't expect that to have changed in any way. So I'm getting very negative here. I'm normally like a glass half full kind of guy, but I'm kind of feel like I'm kind of the Rangers' defensive woes are getting to me. But yeah, I think that'll be a defence that we see, and I think we'll continue to give up the chances that we have been.
Who's at the 6?
I think he'll play Raskin at the 6 on Tuesday night. I don't know why. Part of me just wondered if whoever he played yesterday wasn't going to start on Tuesday. I guess was my kind of view of it. But at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily have Diomande in my team if I had a choice, to be honest, because I don't think he's offered much, if anything, since the start of this season. But I think if you had Rothwell, Raskin, and Lyle Cameron in as your midfield, I would probably be my chosen midfield if I could. And then you've got Ant-Man and Gassama out wide, and you think, right, we've got something there. At least we've got a bit of fight. You've got a bit of fight in midfield and a bit of pace out wide, and right, see how we go.
Do you feel Cameron's experienced enough in Europe to be starting in a game like this?
I think he showed against Pilsen in the home leg that you don't need to, and he scored in the away leg. So I think it's more about how he plays in the system, isn't it, and what the advantages that he brings to it. And the running he does off the ball is monumental. So I'd have no issues with him being in there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's all fair enough, but yeah, we'll not hang about here too long, guys. We've covered all bases. It's been an absolute pleasure to be joined by the both of you and everybody watching live, and hello to everyone that's watching later on once we're finished here. As ever, please make sure you're subscribing. It makes a great deal to us. It really helps us push on with the podcast and make it bigger and bigger. Myself and Craig will be back with the post-match analysis after the game on Tuesday night. We'll be here as ever every Thursday at 7:30, every Sunday at 7:30, and the usual Tuesday slot at 7:30, just not this week because it's a post-match. So that leaves me with nothing else to say, but thank you for viewing and listening. Good night, goodbye, have a nice day.